How's it going, sports card fans, wrestling collectors? Tom here from CollectAWrestlePalooza. We're at it again. We're doing another top 5. The sports card market is hot. Are wrestling cards hot as well? Let's find out.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.
Here's how the top 5 works. I go on eBay, I type wrestling cards into the search bar, I filter out only auctions, I make sure the auction is legit, and I look at the top 5, and that's it. And then we look at them together, and we talk about them, and we see how the market has changed. You're going to want to stay tuned to the end of this video, where I'm going to show you the number 1 from last time I ran the top 5 highest prices paid way back in February of this year. And I'm also going to show you an interesting fact about Hulk Hogan cards from the time I ran that top 5 only a month or two ago in June of 2025. Coming in at number 5 is my favorite card from this week, the 2023 Panini Immaculate, the Bloodline Booklet. These are autos, numbered 7 out of 25, raw, sold for $2,375. Can you even grade a booklet? I don't know how that works, but I'm not a huge fan of booklets just because I like the nostalgia of the classic trading card size, but if you're going to do a booklet, this one is pretty dang cool. The wrestling family of Roman Reigns, Alpha, Sika, Rikishi, Jay, Uso, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, all of the great Samoan wrestlers from WWF, past to present. Only The Rock is missing from this, but you've got the tribal leader in the middle. You've got the great looking Panini Immaculate booklet with the holograph fluorescent colors. Just a really good looking booklet card. And really it spans a number of generations, which is the other reason I like this. Alpha and Sika were from the 70s, I think. Rikishi would have been from the 90s, the Attitude Era, and then you have the Bloodline members into the 2000s, culminating with Roman Reigns and his epic WWE Championship run. So very attractive, and that's why it sold for $2,375. Speaking of the Rock autos, coming in at number 4 is a 2025 Topps Chrome, the Rock autograph, numbered 6 out of 10, which sold raw for $2,605. Every top 5 for wrestling cards right now includes one of these 2025 Topps Chrome autos. Really big release because The Rock doesn't sign all that much. And the only way you can get a The Rock signature right now is to get one of the very, very expensive Comic Images cards of The Rock that he has the silver Sharpie autograph, the iconic one, or there's, I believe, a Leaf unlicensed Rock autograph card that is signed by Dwayne Johnson that came out. If you want to talk about crossover appeal and societal appeal, you can't get much bigger than The Rock. He's been in movies, he's been in WWE, he's just very charismatic on the mic. You can smell what The Rock is cooking. He's got his trademark taglines. He's just larger than life, which is why he's the final boss, and that's why this card sold for $2,605. Coming in at number 3 is a card of the GOAT, Hulk Hogan. We lost a legend recently, and unfortunately that does make card prices sometimes go up, but $3,550 for this beautiful 1982 Wrestling All-Stars Hulk Hogan in a nice Beckett slab, coming in at an 8, 7.5 for centering, 8 for corners, 8 for edges, or actually that's 9 for edges, and 8.5 for surface. I was surprised it got a 7.5 for centering. Centering seemed to be justified pretty far to the right, and generally with these cards, the centering is what is the selling point on them. However, the surface of this one just looks beautiful, and the fact that it has 9 for edges and doesn't have any of those print dots, the color looks really good. Just a beautiful, beautiful 1982 Wrestling All-Stars card. This is of the GOAT. We've talked about it over and over again, so I don't need to go into any details. If you know wrestling cards, you know this card. This is the one to get, and that's why it sold for $3,550. Speaking of 82 Wrestling All-Stars, nice to see a card of Ric Flair. This one, a PSA 9, sold for $4,739. It is centered. The photograph is just cropped on the left side there because the eBay seller had the card tilted, and I didn't want to show too much of the left side of the background, so I cropped it off there. I realize now it does look a little awkward, but $4,739 for a Ric Flair wrestling card, and this is the famous blue robe. I think he won one of his first titles in that robe, maybe against Harley Race. Viewers, leave a comment if you know which event this blue robe is actually from, but what an amazing picture of the Nature Boy. The thing I like about the Wrestling All-Stars set is not only that it isn't licensed to one federation, meaning that you see stars from all over the territories, but also that the photography, sometimes the wrestlers have a mix of looking vulnerable and also powerful at the same time. Hogan doesn't look like the Hulkamania superstar larger than life, yet he looks like Terry Bollea. Ric Flair here, you can see in his eyes a sort of vulnerability. Bruiser Brody's another one that the photograph doesn't look like he's a monster yet. He looks like he's a man. Name some others, viewers, in the comments. What's your favorite photographs from the 82 Wrestling All-Stars or the 83 Wrestling All-Stars? Do you know of other ones that have that appeal where they look like real men? Leave some comments and let us know. But it's really great to see Ric Flair in the top 5. The Nature Boy, $4,739. And before I show you number 1 for this week, I'm going to show you the one that is not number 1, but would have been number 1 if I did not suspect that it was an illegitimate sale. I don't trust it, and I think that the sale might have gone through, but it looks to me like there's some shill bidding going on here. Tell me what you think. This is a Panini Select Rhea Ripley. I think it's a ringside 1 of 1, sold raw for $9,100. The profile of the eBay bidder that bought it looked legit, but look at the 2 bids before that. You can see that they are both not a registered user with 0 feedback, which to me looks like some shill bidding. So in other words, this bidder S****2, which probably is a legitimate buyer, bid $6,300. And then $6,400 went through, and then $9,000 went through, and then $9,100 is where it landed as a top bid after those shill bids went through, potentially. I don't like to see that. I hate to see it on big cards. If someone should have won the auction for $6,300, but ended up spending 50% more than that, that's not good for the hobby, and it's not good for anyone, and it's also just kind of sad. I don't like it. It just makes me feel like, why do that? Why do that to your fellow collector? Anyway, so I'm not including it in the top 5 except to point out that I think that this is a suspect sale. Which leaves the real number 1. This is an amazing sale for the GOAT, the legend Hulk Hogan, a 1982 signed Wrestling All-Stars slabbed up by PSA, graded 4 with an auto grade of 10, sold for $7,950. This is a big price for this card. A PSA 4 generally would not command this type of a number. However, again, because Hogan has passed, the autographs are what is driving the market. Hogan autos, anything that is the legendary iconic card with the signature is going to command a premium. Buyers are snatching them up right now. If you want one, you might have to buy it now because I don't see it going down at any time in the future unless the entire card market goes down. And the reason I say that is Hogan is the GOAT. There's never going to be another Hulk Hogan ever in professional wrestling. If you didn't live through it, you don't know what it was all about, but Hulk Hogan was professional wrestling and is professional wrestling the same way Michael Jordan is basketball. And no matter what you think about the statistics and think about the character or anything like that, you have to acknowledge that they are synonymous with the sport. So This Hogan auto, again, auto grade of 10, $7,950. And let's compare it to the number one from first, the last time I did wrestling cards, which was back in February. And at that time, another Hogan card sold, but this one, because of the rarity and the fact that it was a PSA 10 of the rare OPC line, number 16, the blueback 1985 card, sold for $20,100. That was a great sale for a mass market card. The 85 WWF wrestling cards are they're not rare, but the OPC versions are the ones that were sold in Canada, and then getting ones in high grade makes them exceedingly rare. They're very, very hard to pull in high grade, so that's why that one sold for $20,100. And then I also wanted to show, just to compare the Wrestling All-Star market, when I ran the top 5 Hulk Hogan cards back in June of 2025, a PSA 7 with an auto grade of 10 sold for $4,000, almost half of what the PSA 4, which is a much lower grade, sold for. You could say that maybe the autograph is better, maybe they don't like that print dot on the PSA 7, but if you're going strictly by grades, what a pop in prices for Hulk Hogan, with a PSA 4 Auto 10 selling for almost twice as much as a PSA 7 Auto 10 just a few months ago. And that does it for this week. That's the survey of wrestling cards. That's the ones that have sold for the highest prices on eBay auction in the last few months. Viewers, which one is your favorite? Tell us why. Stay tuned again next week for another edition of CollectAWrestlePalooza. What's that? Stop the presses. There's another number one. Yeah, that's right. The real number one didn't come up when I typed in wrestling cards into the search filter on eBay for some reason. I had to search for Hulk Hogan, but if you follow wrestling cards, you know about this sale, so I had to include it in the top 5. This is a 2013 Upper Deck employee exclusive Hulk Hogan, numbered out of 125, this one number 51, the precious metal gems, in a PSA 10 that sold for $41,100. I don't have the pop report in front of me, but this is under pop 5 in a PSA 10. I want to say pop 3. This is a rare card. You either love it or you hate it. It's controversial, mostly because the picture of Hulk Hogan on it is not really the most flattering, but I love it. I love the way his skin tone and the red trunks, they look against the purple background. It's just a really interesting palette of colors, and getting a precious metal gem in a PSA 10 is hard enough, let alone of the employee exclusive series. So this is the GOAT. It's an interesting card, and that's why it sold for over $40,000. I had to include it. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next week.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.